everyone, I'm Laura. I'm going to show you how to crochet this dog. So I decided to crochet a mini version of my dog. He's a Maltese and he's got a fluffy white tail, but you can change the colour for yours and you can decide whether you want a fluffy tail or just a curved smooth tail. If you'd like the written version of this pattern, it's on my website. I'll leave a link in the description. If you've never crocheted before, take a look at my videos about how to do single crochet and how to crochet in the round. So you're going to need double knit yarn. I'm using beige because white doesn't show up well on camera. You're going to need black embroidery thread, scissors, a 3mm crochet hook, a stitch marker, yarn needle, some pins to help with sewing, some stuffing, a tape measure to measure the strands for the tail, and some safety eyes. So you can buy them in packs like this, and you're going to need 6mm black safety eyes. So the smallest ones in this pack. So this is what they look like, a bit like screws. And then they come with the plastic backs. So I'll just show you what they look like. So they've got a smaller hole on one end, and the smaller hole is what goes on the end of the screw. So I'll show you how to use those later on. So we're going to start with the head. So round one, we're going to make a magic ring, and then we're going to do 6 single crochet in the magic ring. So we take that short tail out and put it by the side, and then we do 6 single crochet underneath both of those strands. So count the V's to count your stitches, and pull tight on that short tail to close the magic ring. And then put the stitch marker in this stitch. So round 2, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. So the part in brackets is repeated the number of times stated, and we'll have 9 stitches at the end of this round. So an increase is 2 single crochet in 1 stitch. So we take out the marker and do our last increase in that last stitch. And you can count your stitches, make sure you've got 9. And then we put the marker back in that last stitch that we did, as we do at the end of every round. Round 3, we're going to single crochet in every stitch, so we're not increasing or decreasing, we're just maintaining 9 stitches. So I've just sped this up to show you. You can pause the video anytime you need to. So take the marker out and do our last single crochet, and put the marker back in. Round 4, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 3 times, and we'll have 12 stitches at the end of the round. So take out the marker and do the last increase. And then put the marker back in. Round 5, we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches, and then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch and increase in the next stitch 3 times. So that part in brackets 3 times, and then we'll have 15 stitches at the end of the round. So what we're doing here is we only want the increases on one side because we want the bottom edge to be flat, and then the part with the increases is going to be the top of the dog's head. So take the marker out and do the last increase. So if we fold that a bit up, we can see where the underside is and the top side is with the increases. Round 6, we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, increase in the next stitch, and we do that 3 times, and we'll have 18 stitches at the end of the round. So again, we're doing our increases on one side only, and then we're leaving the underside with those 6 single crochet, so it's just flat. So count 6, make sure you've got 6, and then do your increasing set. So last increase. And then you can see the shape of it starting to form. So rounds 7 to 11, that's 5 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, just maintaining 18 stitches. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done those rounds. Okay, so I've done all those rounds now, and you can find the last increase and count 5 rounds. Now we're going to put the safety eyes in. So we're going to insert them between rounds 5 and 6. So count from the bottom and just push them in. You might need to twist them a bit because they're like a screw. So push them in all the way. Make sure that it's flat against the surface of the work. And then just looking at this one that I've made, I've got 4 stitches between them. So count 4 single crochet in between the eyes, and then insert the second one, still between round 5 and 6. And then when you're happy with the position of them, we're going to put the backs on to secure them. So make sure you're happy with them because they are extremely difficult to take off if you're not happy with them. That's why they're safety eyes. So because this piece is quite small, we're going to need to sort of turn it inside out a bit. to get to the piece. So we take the small hole end of the back and just push it on and until you hear it click. So it should snap down and go right to the bottom. So now we're going to make the nose. So we're going to cut a 40cm piece of black thread. So I know that showed 35, but I actually found that I needed 40 centimeters. So thread that onto the needle and weave through, coming out above round 1. So we're going to make 3 lines in a triangle. And then we're going to come up above that top line and we're going to make lines going back down to that single point to fill in that triangle. So when you've filled it in, the last one is going to go through the head. So we go back through that bottom point and then come out through the opening of the head. And then to fasten off, we're going to find a loop from a stitch on the inside edge and go through it, but not all the way. So leave a loop and then go back through that loop from behind. So I didn't leave enough tail, so I'm just using my crochet hook to do that. And then push that tail inside. And now we need to stuff the head. So just enough so that it's not going to get in the way of the rest of the crochet that we need to do. So put the marker back in. Round 12, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we're going to do that 6 times so that we have 12 stitches. So I'll show you how to do an invisible decrease. So we do our first single crochet first. So an invisible decrease is done using the front loops only. So this is the front loop and this is the back loop. So the front loop is closest to you. So pick up the front loop of that stitch and then pick up the front loop of the stitch next to it. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. You can pull through one and then the next if it makes it easier. And yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And that is an invisible decrease. So you can see the side of it, which is a diagonal piece. We don't want to go into that. We want to go under the V for the next stitch. So single crochet in the next stitch and then another invisible decrease. So pick up the first front loop, pick up the next front loop, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So you can pause the video anytime you need to. I'm just going to speed this bit up to show you. So then continue stuffing just to make sure it's firm. And then put the marker back in. And then round 13, which is the last round, we're going to do an invisible decrease 6 times so that we just have 6 stitches remaining. So this is going to be a bit fiddly because it's getting smaller all the time. So it helps to just put your finger in that hole while you do the decreases. So take the marker out when you've got 2 stitches remaining and do your last decrease. and then fasten off, leaving a long tail. So now we're going to thread that tail onto our needle and we're going to close that hole. So we're going to come up through the front loops only of each stitch. So come up from the outside. So 6 stitches. And then pull tight to gather all those stitches together and close the hole. Then find a loop nearby and go through it. Leave a loop and go through that loop from behind. Pull tight to make a knot. And then weave through the middle of that hole and weave it through the head and just pull tight to make sure it's flat. And then we're not going to cut that yarn, we're going to leave that coming out of the underside of the head for sewing later. So now we're going to make the ears, so we make 2 the same. We're going to make a slip knot. And we're going to chain 7. So count your chains, make sure you've got 7. And then starting in the second stitch from the hook, we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So just the side of each chain. And then we're going to do 4 single crochet all in that last stitch. So what this does is it sort of turns the corner and makes a rounded end so that we can work on the other side of the chain. So count 4 and then you can pull on that slip knot tail to tighten it. So now we're going to work on the other side of the chain and we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So this is the first side loop that we're going to work in. And then we're going to slip stitch in that last loop there. So we push the hook in, yarn over and pull through, and then pull that loop through the first loop on the hook. Now we're going to fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing. So now you just need to make 1 more ear the same. So we're going to weave that short tail in into the back of the stitches. And then cut the yarn close to the edge of the work. And then we're going to use that long tail to sew it to the head. So we're going to sew them on between rounds 9 and 11 of the head. So I'm just counting from the back there to compare it to the one that I made before. So just hold it in place with your thumb and then pick up loops on the head that are closest and then go through the top of the ear. So we're just going to be doing about 3 stitches. And we're going to sew them on 5 stitches apart. So when you're happy with that ear, we're going to fasten off in the same way we normally do. We're going to do it underneath the ear. So we're just making a knot around the stitch and pull tight. And we'll weave that in a minute. So I've just sewn the other ear on in exactly the same way, and now I'm going to weave my ends in. Just go through the same spot and come out on the underside of the head. Okay, so I've got 3 tails coming out, but remember we need one to sew on the head. So I would choose the longest one and then cut the other 2. So now we're going to make the legs. So we make 4 the same. So round 1, we make a magic ring and we do 6 single crochet in the magic ring. And pull tight to close the magic ring. And then put the marker in. Round 2, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 3 times so that we have 9 stitches. So I'm just speeding this up to show you, but you can pause the video at any time you need to. So take the marker out and do your last increase. So just count your stitches, make sure you've got 9, and make sure that it's curving around the right way. Round 3, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we do that 3 times so that we have 6 stitches. So we're making the paw or the foot, so we wanted it to increase that to 9, and then we go back to 6 to create that paw, to create that foot. So take the marker out when we've got 2 stitches remaining and do our last invisible decrease. And then put the marker back in. So rounds 4 to 9, that's 6 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, so just maintaining 6 stitches. So I'll just show you the first round. And then after you've done the first round, you can trim that tail from the magic ring so it doesn't get in the way. And then you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done all of those rounds. And then also you'll need to make 3 more. So you can count your rounds like this. Make sure that you've got the right number when you finish. And then cut the arm. We don't need to leave a long tail for this because we're not going to use it for sewing. And then you can curve the foot upwards. So I've made 4 now. Now we're going to make the underside piece of the body. So we start by making a slip knot. And we chain 13. And count the V's to count your chains. And starting in the second stitch from the hook, we're going to single crochet in the next 11 stitches. So I'll just speed this bit up to show you, but you can pause the video anytime you need to. So now we're going to do 4 single crochet in that last stitch, so exactly the same as what we did with the ears. And then we're going to work on the other side of the chain now, and we're going to single crochet in the next 11 stitches. So this is the first stitch. So again, I'm going to speed this bit up just to show you, but you can pause the video. So at the end of this round, you should have 26 stitches. So now we put the marker back in that last stitch that we did. And then round 2, we're going to increase in the first stitch. So just skip over that first chain loop and go under the V as normal and do an increase. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 24 stitches. Then take the marker out and increase in the last stitch. So you should have 28 stitches at the end of this round. So we're not going to fasten off because we're going to join the legs now. So we put the marker back in the last stitch that we did. So round 1, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to take the first leg, so they're all the same, so it doesn't matter which. And we're going to find the 4th stitch back from where we fastened off. So this one here, and we're going to push the hook in that stitch. And we're going to do a single crochet to join it. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches on the leg. Now we're going to skip one stitch on the underside piece and we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. So you can see that stitch has got one in it and we skip one, and then it's this one here that we single crochet in. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. So don't worry about the direction which the feet are pointing in, because you can bend those and make sure that they're facing the right way when we've joined all the legs on. Okay, so we should have the 1 stitch and then 8 single crochet. So now we're going to join the second leg, so the back leg. So we take the leg and we're going to join it in the last stitch of the round, so the one before we fastened off. So we push the hook in through like this, and then we single crochet. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches on the leg. So this time we're going into the next stitch after where we fastened off and just continuing around. So just move that short tail out of the way. Now we're going to skip 1 stitch on the underside piece again, and we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. So this one here. And then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to join the next leg. So we take the leg and we're going to join it in the last stitch of the round again, so the one before we fastened off. So we push through the stitch like that, and then we single crochet. And then again, just like the previous leg, we single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Then we skip 1 stitch on the underside piece. And single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 9 stitches. And then we're going to join the last leg in the 4th single crochet back from where we fastened off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, this one here, and we push the hook in like this and single crochet. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches on the leg. And we're going to skip 1 stitch on the underside piece. And we're going to take out the marker and single crochet in that last stitch. So now you should have 40 stitches at the end of that round, and we've joined all our legs. So we put the marker back in the last stitch that we did. So rounds 2 to 4, that's 3 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, so just maintaining 40 stitches. So I'll let you pause the video and meet me back when you've done that. Okay, so I've done all of those rounds, and you can see from the bottom round we had 2 rounds, and we had the joining round, and then we should have 3 rounds of single crochet. So now we're going to make the neck. So round 1, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Then we're going to chain 7. So later on we're only going to use 6 of those chains, and we're adding a 7th because it gets very tight and small. So count the chains, make sure you've got 7. And then take out the marker and single crochet in that stitch from the outside, so like this. And then put the marker in that last stitch that you did. So we're going to be using 10 of those stitches to make the neck. Round 2, single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 6 chain stitches in the back loop only, so the chain which is furthest away from you. So we're going to turn it on its side like this. So it's the top chain that we're going to be working in. So this is going to be fiddly, but just pick up that first chain loop. So we're going to use the other side of that chain loop later on. So last one, which is going to be a bit fiddly, but that's why we added the extra chain, so that we're going to skip that one. So make sure you've got 6 stitches, and then take out the marker and single crochet in that last stitch, so the single crochet stitch. So now count and make sure you've got 10 stitches in total, so 10 single crochet, and put the marker back in. Round 3, we're going to single crochet in every stitch, so just maintaining 10 stitches. So I'm just speeding this up just to show you. And this is the last round of the neck. So take the marker out, do your last single crochet, and then we're going to fasten off. So we don't need a very long tail for this. Okay, so now we finish the neck. And now we have 42 stitches in total. we've got the 36 stitches on the body. And then we've got the chain 6 section from the neck. So round 1, we're going to push the hook in with the outside of the work facing us, pull up a loop near the back leg, so it doesn't matter exactly which stitch, chain 1, and single crochet in that same stitch. So just move that short tail out of the way. And then we're going to single crochet in every stitch, including the 6 chain stitches. So I'll just speed up until the end of the full single crochet stitches. And then here's the last full single crochet. So this part might get hard to see where the other side of the chain loops are. So it helps to look from the other side and just count the chain loops. So there's the first single crochet. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one there, 6. So here's the first one. And then the second one. And then the last one. So just count, make sure you've got 6 in that section. And then the next single crochet is here. So I'm just going to speed this bit up again. And then once you finish this, count and make sure that you've got 42 stitches. So that chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. Okay, so now we put the marker back in the last stitch that we did to mark the start of a new round. And we're going to skip over that chain 1 and go straight into the proper single crochet. And we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So just speed up these sections just to show you. So count 6, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So you can see the invisible decrease because they do look slightly different, and then count 7 stitches after that. Now we're going to do an invisible decrease 4 times. So you can count, make sure you've got 4 invisible decreases. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. And then we're going to do an invisible decrease. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 11 stitches. So we should have 36 stitches at the end of this round. Round 3, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we're going to repeat that 12 times so that we have 24 stitches at the end of this round. So I'm just going to show you the first 2 sets. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you finish this round. I'm just doing my last invisible decrease of this round. And this is the last round of the body. So count, make sure you've got 24. And then we're going to fasten off, leaving a long tail, because we're going to sew that hole closed in a straight line. So now we're going to stuff it. So we just want to push it through and then also push it up through the neck hole as well. We want to stuff it firmly, but keep checking to see that you're going to be able to close that hole. So now we thread that tail onto our needle, and then we're going to go through the stitch next to where we fastened off, and then back through the first stitch before we fastened off, and then just go back and forward through each corresponding stitch in a straight line. So you'll notice that it has a bit of a bump at the end, but don't worry about that. And the tail's going to be on that piece anyway, so it won't really show. So just the last few stitches. And then find a loop, make a loop and make a knot around it to fasten off in the same way as we normally do. And then weave through the body, pull tight to make that flat. And then carry on stuffing through the neck hole just to make sure that the neck is stuffed, so it's firm enough to support the head. And then cut that yarn close to the edge of the work and use the end of your needle to push that in. Okay, so now we're going to sew the head on. So we want to use the longest of all of those tails. So cut those 2 and then hide those ends. So thread that tail onto your needle and go through the first stitch of the neck, just lining it up, and then pick up loops from the surface of the stitches on the head. And if you need to, just add a bit more stuffing as you go. You can use the end of your hook to push it in. So now when we get to this point, we're going to tie those two tails in a knot to secure them. And then thread the short tail onto the needle and weave it through the head. And then do the same with the long tail. And then cut the yarn close to the edge of the work and use your needle to push those ends inside. So now I'm going to make the tail. So round one, we make a magic ring, and we're going to do 4 single crochet in the magic ring. So it's going to be 2 stitches smaller than the legs, which makes it a little bit more fiddly. So pull tight to close the magic ring, and then put your marker in. Rounds 2 to 9, that's 8 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, so we're just maintaining 4 stitches. And then at the end of the last round, we're going to do a slip stitch in the next stitch just to round it off. So I'll just show you the first round, and then you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done all of those rounds. Okay, so you can count your rounds like this. So count the magic ring first and then count 8 rounds after that. And then do the slip stitch in the next stitch. And then fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing. And curve the tail around. So because it's fairly tight and small, it should hold its shape quite well and stay in that position. So you can see with this one, I've added the strands to make the fluffy tail. So I'm going to show you how to do that if you want to do that, but you don't have to. So cut 8 centimeter strands, push the hook in from the middle to the outside edge, so in the spaces between the stitches. Fold the yarn so that the ends meet, and then pull the loop through, wrap the ends around the hook and pull through the loop, and pull tight to make a knot. So I did 2 rows as if it had a parting, and then you can separate the ends and unwind them so that it goes wavy and curly. And then you can trim that if it hangs down too low. So like this. But for this dog, I'm just going to leave his tail like this, so no fluffy bits. I'm going to sew it on, thread the tail onto the needle, and sew it on right on that bit that sticks up. And then fasten off in the usual way and weave the tail in, cut the yarn close to the edge of the work, and push it in to hide it. So there we have it, our dog is finished. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I'd love to see a photo of your dog. You can share it with me by tagging me on Instagram at Laura_Wilson01. If you'd like to check out my patterns on my Etsy shop, I'll leave the link in the description below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.